Today, voucher giant Voucher promises cut-price holiday bargains. So why were some family bills more ow than wow?
Plus, how slow customer service is leading desperate holidaymakers straight into the arms of the scammers.
And the travel agent mistake that landed one mother and son with a near £800 bill just for taking their suitcases on holiday.
This is Rip Off Britain. Hello, thank you for joining us and welcome to another special holiday-themed episode of Rip Off Britain. Here, of course, to take the turmoil out of your travels.
Coming up today, the fraudsters posing as travel company customer service staff online. They say they're there to help fix your holiday problems. In fact, they simply want your cash.
It makes me feel quite angry that it's so blatant and nobody's doing anything about it.
Plus single supplements. In other words, the higher costs that people travelling on their own often face for things like hotel rooms and cruises. Anyone who, like me, has travelled solo before will be very familiar with the feeling of paying more for getting less.
But first today, booking a holiday used to be a choice between going for a package deal through a tour operator or finding the flights, hotels, transfers and so on individually and booking them yourself.
However, lately, a new way has been cooked up, one which promises a perfect-looking full package at a real bargain. Unfortunately for the people in our first film today, though, it was only after they'd handed over their money that they discovered what they'd really paid for.
I was really looking forward to seeing Rome and its architecture and the multitude of statues. The closest we've got here is the Johnny Walker statue in Kilmarnock. Instead of the stunning views of Lake Garda, I'm left with the stunning views of East Ayrshire. It's great, but it's not quite what we were hoping for.
Stuart Ross loves his home in the west of Scotland, but he's still feeling the sting of his lost family holiday to Italy. When he'd first spotted it, it had all looked so enticing.
The advertised deal was a 4-centre stay coming into Rome and then travelling up to Florence, moving from there to Venice and finally arriving in Lake Garda.
And there was plenty to be excited about. 4-star accommodation, train travel between the Italian cities and a list of hotels that sounded fab. But the holiday wasn't being sold by your average travel agent. Stuart had spotted it on deals site Voucher. It offers vouchers with cut-price deals for everything from meals and nights out to spa treatments and, yes, holidays. These vouchers must then be redeemed with the company that sells the product or experience. Stuart's voucher costs £3,450 for 12 nights in Italy for him, his wife Karen and their daughters Islay and Holly. But when he phoned up to book the holiday with the firm behind the offer, Weekender Breaks, it soon turned out to be very different to what he'd signed up for.
The advert, which had said 4-star hotels, wasn't accurate, and they said in order to get the 4-star hotels, they would have to pay a supplement. After a series of phone calls, it became quite clear that the holiday wasn't as advertised.
Desperate to take the family away on holiday, Stuart reluctantly agreed to pay the supplement, but doubts soon set in.
I wasn't as elated as I thought I might be having booked a holiday.
So he decided to cancel the booking and ask for his money back.
And I was told by Weekender Breaks that those terms and conditions don't apply to me because I booked it via voucher, and actually none of it was refundable. I was astounded by that.
So Stuart turned to Voucher, but it also refused to give him a refund.
You feel that you've been slightly used by these companies to get what they want.
When we put that to Weekender Breaks, it maintained that the deals simply included 3-star hotels on a room-only basis. Stuart's request to upgrade to 4-star and add breakfast in 2 hotels incurred extra costs. Weekender Breaks told us that all the details of the booking were outlined over the phone and in writing before Stuart gave his written permission to proceed. With that, the holiday was confirmed and became non-refundable. And while the firm says it tries to accommodate customer requests, it was not possible to cancel the holiday free of charge. So the Ross family didn't swap the delights of Kilmarnock for the beauty of Venice after all. But Stuart remains determined to get his money back after what he feels was a case of false advertising, and, he says, not an isolated one.
They're still offering breaks to Italy and advertising them as 4-star. And it's a bit deceptive because once you go into the details, it says hotels, stay at the 3-star hotel in Rome.
It was a voucher break to Budapest that turned out to be not as advertised for Paul and Mandy Simkis from Wolverhampton. This time, the travel agent behind the ad was called Prime Holidays.
The hotel that they originally offered us, they said that was unavailable for those dates. The flights, again, they said that we could fly not direct to Budapest, we've got to do a stopover. I felt angry that I felt like I was misinformed.
Direct flights added another £89 each to their £200 tickets, which the couple reluctantly paid. But they then learned that the 4-star hotel they'd been promised by voucher had been downgraded to a 3-star one in a much less desirable location. So the couple complained.
All Prime Holidays did was said it's all booked. It's too late. There was no, money back for the additional flights. It was a dead end every which way you went. It's disgraceful, really.
Prime Holidays told us that when supplier availability means the firm has to offer alternative hotels, it always discusses this with the customers and only proceeds with their confirmation, after which additional charges can apply. And it said its choice of flight times ensures that customers can spend a specific minimum length of time at their destination, but the flights Paul and Mandy requested were more expensive. Not wanting to lose their money, the couple took the trip. But just like Stuart, they feel duped by that original listing on voucher.
It's false advertisement. You purchase it, and it's not what was written on that offer.
Seems totally unfair that they're advertising one thing, but you're getting something else once you've booked it.
A sentiment shared by other voucher customers too, and not just those buying holidays. In March 2023, the Competition and Markets Authority began a probe into possible breaches of consumer protection law and concerns about hidden charges in vouchers deals. So, joining me in HQ to unpack all that and more is the very well-travelled Rob Staines.
Rob, based on what we've just seen, what do you make of the whole voucher model?
Well, the Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA, launched an investigation into voucher because they thought they were using unfair and misleading marketing tools. So we were talking about tactics like these countdown clocks, making people feel that a deal is going to expire if they don't make that decision there and then. And also, many of these deals have hidden charges. Voucher have actually said they are actively engaging with the CMA to put things right and address all concerns. But I've actually been looking at some holidays and even I have found it really confusing. So, on one side of the screen, what we've got written here is no quibble 14-day refund guarantee on unredeemed vouchers. Now, that sounds very reassuring, doesn't it? But actually, on the other side of the screen, it says you've got to redeem your voucher within 48 hours of purchase, and if that isn't done, it will auto-redeem. Now, when a voucher is auto-redeemed, it says in the fine print that actually they are non-cancelable, they're non-refundable. So actually, what seemed like a really good deal is actually looking extremely restrictive.
When we asked voucher about this example, it explained that this fine print is for a specific type of international travel deal, and that automatic redemption of the voucher is to lock the travel partner into honouring the offer, because flight prices can change quickly. Voucher assured us that the customer is able to get a refund up until the flights and hotels have been booked, and it promised to review the wording on the website to make everything clear.
Rob, I got the impression that certainly some of these people thought that they were buying the whole package deal. They didn't realise what voucher actually was.
Well, you know, Woucher actually have a lot of very satisfied customers. But as we have heard at Rip Off Britain, and as we've seen in these cases, a lot of people actually find the whole booking process very complicated, and it's often more costly than what is originally advertised. This is really because Woucher acts as a third party, so they are a promoter of a holiday rather than an actual travel agent.
But I thought there were some regulations called the package travel regulations, which were meant to protect people over things like this.
Well, there are, Julia, and you're absolutely right. The package travel regulations are to protect consumers, but a lot of these companies that Woucher actually uses have a non-refund caveat in their terms and conditions. So obviously it just gets a little bit murky.
I mean, is it fair to say that going with Woucher means adding complications rather than reducing them?
Well, yes, it does, but pretty much. I would always urge people to book direct with a company that's actually providing the holiday. And wherever you are booking, whether it's online or whether it's on the phone or in person, if you feel pressured, just stop, take a step back and think, right, what am I getting into here? Is this a good deal? Can I get a refund if I change my mind? Essentially, if you feel that you are being pressured, you most definitely are, and that is no way to buy any product.
Good advice, Rob. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
When we spoke to Woucher, it reiterated that it is actively engaging with the Competition and Markets Authority to address its concerns. Woucher told us it was concerned and sorry to hear about both Stuart's and Paul and Mandy's cases, which it has investigated with both travel firms. Woucher blamed Stuart's problems on an error in the original advert, which listed the accommodation as 4-star. It says this has now been rectified and promised to review its processes to avoid this happening again. Woucher said that when hotels are not available, travel partners must offer alternatives of similar or better standard, and that while its fine print is clear that vouchers only cover selected flights on certain dates from certain airports, it feels that Paul and Mandy's break should really have come with direct flights included. Woucher said it had raised both these points with Prime Holidays. Woucher also told us that when holidays are booked, customers become subject to the holiday provider's terms and conditions, which in both Stuart's and Paul and Mandy's cases specified the booking was non-refundable. However, both families have now been refunded in full as a gesture of goodwill, and Paul and Mandy have also had their additional costs reimbursed.
Time now for our Holidays Advice Clinic, where our experts are on hand to help overcome your trickiest travel problems.
Well, with me in the Advice Clinic today is the ever-intrepid travel expert, Simon Calder. Simon, it's always lovely to have you in the studio with us.
Well,
Good morning.
It's very nice to see you. Good morning, and let's hope we can sort out our viewers' travel troubles.
Well, I hope so, because Maureen Boxall and her son Simon have joined us from Southampton. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, as I understand it, Maureen, your youngest son lives in New Zealand, and the plan was for you and your older son, Simon, to go and visit them for Christmas. But as it was Christmas, presumably you were taking quite a lot of stuff with you.
Well, we started with a load of soft toys, football kits, chocolates for my youngest son, who can't get them in New Zealand.
So how many pieces of luggage did you actually have?
We had one large case and one cabin bag each.
Now, as I understand it then, Simon, you were the one who booked the tickets. So what happened when you got to the airport?
So we queued up and we were told, oh, you only have 10 kilos of luggage, not the 23, which I thought I had. So we were told we had to pay excess for each kilo over. We couldn't upgrade our tickets or add an extra bag. It was like we have paid money or we dumped our bags.
Well, you weren't going to do that as it was Christmas, especially with all those lovely Christmas presents inside. So how much did that cost you then to get that baggage on board?
In total, £770.
Flippin' heck. That is a huge amount of... What was your reaction when they said that?
I just, thought, OK, we have to just pay it, basically. There's nothing else we can do. Because obviously we go miss our flight if we mess around, so we literally had to just get the card out and pay.
Simon, is this something you've come across before?
Well, it's certainly the case that a lot of airlines these days, not just the budget ones, are saying, right, we will make our cheapest fare one where you can only take cabin baggage. But that should be really clearly explained all the way through the booking process. So I need to ask you, Simon, since you booked it, were you told, oh, by the way, this only covers cabin baggage, and if you want to check something in, it's going to cost you more money?
There's nothing all along. The only thing I was a bit concerned about was when I printed off the boarding pass, it said 10 on it. I believe I had a 23 kilo allowance, so until I got to the airport, it was like, oh dear.
Well, the tickets were actually booked with a company called Just Fly, but the company with which you flew was Malaysia Airlines. Now, Simon, I mean, do all companies have exactly the same system when it comes for charging for excess baggage, or is this actually excessive?
Well, Just Fly is, I believe, based in Canada, and many of the agencies that pop up when you do a flight search trying to find cheap deals are in fact based abroad, which can make things very tricky. But whoever it was, they should say, here's the deal, if you want to travel with the most basic ticket, which is going to be the cheapest, it will cost you X, and if you want to check a bag in each, that will cost you another £100 or whatever. It's only when you get to the airport, if you have got more baggage than the airline is expecting you to have, they will apply really punitive rates, which in your case would be, I'm calculating, about £25 per kilo or something.
I mean, I would have thought perhaps the experience that Simon and Maureen have had really is a warning to all of us to be very careful about what baggage allowances is for various airlines for long-haul flights as well as short-haul flights.
So yes, anybody flying in any class at all, if you're going for a cheap ticket, which I always do, then you just need to know that often baggage isn't included. There are actually companies, even based at the airport, who will transport a suitcase for you. It will still cost you into the hundreds, but it wouldn't be £770.
Well, as you can imagine, we've not only asked Simon for what he thinks about this, we went also to Malaysia Airlines, and they have stressed that all electronic tickets include information about the purchased baggage allowance, and that passengers can buy an additional allowance before the flight. However, anything over and above what is paid for in advance is charged by the kilo. So the airline encourages everyone to check their tickets before starting their journey. Meanwhile, when we spoke to justfly.com, it said that it was not aware of this issue before we spoke to them, but it was quick to admit its role in all of this. It says normally the baggage allowance is clearly displayed when booking, but thanks to a technical glitch, you two were not shown that information. Just Fly was then very apologetic, and you have told us that the additional expenses that you incurred on that flight came to £890. Is that right?
Yes, that's total of everything that we had to, lay out to get us and our stuff.
Exactly. It was the 770 plus all the other bits and pieces. Well, yeah. Just Fly have told us that it is committed now to compensating you for all of those extra expenses. extra expenses. Did you expect that?
No.
Well, I take it they're tears of happiness, are they, Maureen? I hope they are.
Oh, yes.
Are you stunned by that news?
I am amazed. I was expecting to get a kind of thanks but no thanks, but no, that's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. We can pay the credit card off.
Well, we're delighted that we've been able to actually get a positive result for you. And Simon, also thank you, as always, for your advice. So Maureen and Simon in Southampton and Simon in the studio, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, I have to say, it's always great to have Simon in the Advice Clinic, and he'll be back later on answering more of your questions.
But our experts are here to help with all sorts of your issues. So if you've got something you'd like to bring to the Advice Clinic, the email address, as if you need a reminder, is ripoffbritain@bbc.co.uk, and we are BBC Ripoff Britain on Facebook.
You can, of course, also get in touch with us these days on WhatsApp, where the number is 0330 678 1321. And we've still got our trusty old postal address. It's Ripoff Britain at BBC Media City, UK, Salford, M50 2BH. But please don't forget our usual warning. Don't send us any original documents. Sadly, we're just not able to return them.
Next, we often talk in this programme about how frustrating slow customer service can be, especially when it feels like you are screaming into thin air and your query or complaint just isn't being listened to. I have to say, I sometimes become a different woman altogether.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I share your frustration, but I tell you the opposite side of that. Isn't it nice when you've made a complaint and then you get a very polite, very full response back saying, we've taken notice of what you said and we will put some changes into place.
And did you get one of those?
I got one of those 3 weeks ago, yes.
Very good.
Very satisfying.
Well, complaints about complaints are so common that, in fact, sharp-minded scammers are now seizing the moment to pose as helpful customer service people ready to fix your problem, when, in fact, their motives are far more sinister.
3, 2, 1, go.
We all love precious moments together. Tracy Minns from Peterborough never takes for granted spending time with her daughter Peggy.
Let's go to the spider. Life can be quite hard. I work full-time. My husband's got multiple sclerosis, so I don't get to spend that much quality time with Peggy.
When we go to the beach, I'm going to wear this.
So looking for some winter sun and quality time together. In February 2024, Tracy booked a last-minute trip through Love Holidays to Fuerteventura.
Looks very nice.
But once she paid the £1,852 for the holiday, Tracy didn't get a confirmation email. Instead, she got an email saying the booking was pending, which of course seriously worried her.
I had a missed call and that was followed up by an email saying that the room that we'd booked was no longer available.
Alternative rooms would cost an additional £287.
I was absolutely gobsmacked. I've never booked a holiday and then been asked for more money afterwards. So I rang them back. In the end, they agreed to reduce it to £200 and said they'd cover the extra £87.
At least the hotel was confirmed. But even after a phone call with Love Holidays, the flight still wasn't. So Tracy turned to social media and posted her frustration on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Well, within minutes, the real Love Holidays responded to her tweet. But that was followed by more responses from people offering to help, some of them claiming to be Love Holidays staff. One of the tweets appeared to be from a big cheese at the holiday giant.
A message from Sophie Turner, MD, came through, and this caught my attention because it had MD on the end. I thought, oh, it's the managing director's office. And I thought, at last, somebody's actually listening to me. So then I responded to Sophie Turner.
They started communicating over direct message on the platform. And Sophie asked Tracy to send over her booking details and phone number and said someone would be in touch. Within hours, Sophie's colleague Keith did get in touch via WhatsApp with some good news.
He said he wanted to give me some compensation for the extra money that I'd spent.
To receive it, she'd need to set up an account with a money transfer service, download its app and enter her account details. Next, Keith asked her to type the sum of £100, explaining this was the amount of compensation she was due. Then next, he asked her to enter £600, but that stopped her in her tracks.
Alarm bells really started ringing. He just said, if you want your compensation, this is what you have to do.
The penny dropped. Keith wasn't from Love Holidays, he was a scammer. The money wasn't being sent to her account, but from it, meaning she was now £100 down and reeling.
I was shocked. I never thought I'd be a victim of a scam. I was absolutely gobsmacked.
Tracy's brush with convincing scammers on X unfolded even when the real Love Holidays customer services had been responsive. But for Jeff Lindley from Whitstable in Kent, it was a different story. He'd been trying for months to get a response from British Airways customer service before he turned to social media. He was delayed coming home from a holiday in Rhodes in October 2023. Now, Jeff knew he was entitled to compensation from BA, £350 each for him and his wife, and an additional £180 for a taxi ride from the airport.
The claim went in online and I straight away got an acknowledgement with a reference number.
But for 8 weeks, he heard a big fat zero, nothing from the airline. So he tried the online chat.
The chatbot said, "Oh, we're very sorry, we're very busy, your claim is in the queue."
Next, he then tried customer services.
I was number 23 in the queue. I was then told that they didn't deal with compensation claims.
Jeff waited until 18 weeks had passed. But then, worried BA would never ever get back to him, he took his complaint to X. Bingo! He quickly received a response from what appeared to be British Airways, asking him to send over his details.
They then rang my mobile and explained that, yes, they were going to deal with the claim.
Just like Tracy, he was told that he needed to download a money transfer app and enter an initial amount of £350, equivalent to the flight delay compensation for one ticket. Jeff was told that would be the first lot of money to be refunded, but I'm afraid it wasn't.
Their online banking was £350. Going out, not coming in.
Jeff cut off all communications at that point and resigned himself to waiting for the real BA to get in touch. Well, more than 4 months after he first tried to claim his compensation, it was finally paid, and thankfully, his bank refunded the £350 he lost to the scammer. But Jeff thinks the episode was avoidable, and BA has some questions to answer.
If they had not delayed the compensation claim for so long, I would never have gone on to X, and I would never expose myself to the potential of a scam.
The X profiles that Jeff and Tracy thought were people rushing to their aid were, of course, quite the opposite. But using a fake identity to deceive others is in breach of X's rules. So Tracy reported the profile, claiming to be Sophie Turner, but I'm afraid she was left dumbfounded by its response.
I was told that they didn't find anything wrong with the content from Sophie Turner. I was really shocked that they don't have any measures in place to stop that sort of behaviour.
And when Tracy checked, X still hadn't removed the account. Instead, the scammers behind it were now claiming to work in customer services for another company.
That is pretty much the same wording, pretending to be an Air Mauritius representative. It makes me feel quite angry that it's so blatant and nobody's doing anything about it.
Tracy's bank reimbursed her the £100 she lost to the scammer. But the whole episode tainted the run-up to her mother and daughter getaway.
My favourite part of holiday was probably going in the pool.
And sorry to say, she's lost all faith in social media.
It shouldn't be so easy for people to set up accounts using false identities. So There should be more done to check the identity of that person. I don't really trust anything I see online now.
Well, when we spoke to British Airways, it said it was sorry for the delay Jeff experienced and said it's been in touch directly to apologise and resolve the matter. BA added that it will never ask customers to have a conversation on another platform, such as WhatsApp.
Meanwhile, Love Holidays told us it was very sorry to hear about Tracy's experience, adding that it had been in touch with her over the phone and email at multiple points during her booking to keep her updated.
Love Holidays stressed that customers must only ever contact the firm through its official customer service channels and only engage with its official X or Twitter page. Love Holidays said it is aware of fake accounts posing as official ones, and it is taking all necessary steps to report them and push X to remove them.
Well, I'm very glad to say that Simon Calder is with us to talk about this very cruel con. And Simon, we often say in the programme, if you have a complaint or a problem, that sometimes it's good to go on social media to make a bit of a fuss and draw attention to it. So what do you think about all of that?
Well, generally, people have found things will start to happen perhaps more quickly. But the trouble is, there are all these scammers waiting. I can give you an example, Gloria, of how these things work. If we have a look at British Airways, that's a perfectly genuine post to a perfectly genuine account. The thing is, on social media like X, anybody can respond. And that includes somebody purporting to be Bradley Saxon, Senior Manager, British Airways.
So a big spelling mistake.
Yes, you can watch out for that. Another spelling mistake on British Air 97912. Sorry for the inconvenience caused by your side. So you can ignore that one. None of these are genuine British Airways responses. They're simply scammers trying to get their hands on your hard-earned cash. And we can have a look at what happens with Love Holidays as well. So another perfectly genuine post. Actually, here's a proper response from actual Love Holidays with a blue tick explaining what's going on. And yes, lo and behold, we counted 8 of these. All scammers. These are not genuine Love Holiday things, even though most of them have got the Love Holidays logo. They're all people just trying to get your money.
Now, Simon, I heard you refer to a blue tick. Now, bearing in mind that I don't do anything online, can you explain to me the difference between blue ticks and gold ticks?
It's all got a bit complicated. If a company's got a gold tick, that's a pretty good sign. So British Airways gold tick, 1.4 million followers. I think they are probably genuine. Love Holidays has got a blue tick, and that used to be a verified account, but now it's got a little bit trickier and you can actually pay for it. But again, at Love Holidays, 26,000 followers, that's a genuine one. But ultimately, just don't send anybody your phone number by direct message on a social media platform, because it just opens the door for those scammers.
What do you think would make it more difficult for the scammers?
Well, the obvious answer is for X, formerly Twitter, to police things. And of course, the other thing is that if travel companies responded in a timely fashion to all the complaints that people have, well, then you wouldn't get frustrated viewers who are just getting in touch on social media and are absolutely open to being scammed, because their normal kind of checks, their sense of what's okay and what isn't, may depart.
Well, obviously, we got in touch to try to talk to X about this, but guess what? We didn't get a response at all.
You should try and post something on X.
I don't think I'm going to post anything after listening to you, but thank you very much, Simon, as always.
And I'm pleased to say that although X didn't respond to us directly, it has now suspended the rogue account that scammed Tracy after we flagged it.
Next, from bad customer service to something even worse, a bad deal. Anyone who's holidayed on their own will probably have experienced the feeling that they're paying over the odds for a poorer quality holiday than people travelling in couples or families.
Well, I can tell you, Julia, it's a situation I've experienced myself, and one that you tell us about all the time. But as I'm going to be finding out shortly, there may be a glimmer of hope on the horizon for us solo travellers. First, though, here's a reminder of one of the last times we heard how the single supplement and all that goes with it can make you feel.
In January 2022, we met Des and Mel Eldridge from High Wycombe, who love some quality father and daughter time together. Since Des was injured in a car accident in 2018, Mel has given him extra support.
Dad always comes to me on a Friday and we have dinner, watch a bit of television.
Fall asleep.
I do your shopping, don't I?
After receiving compensation for the accident, Des decided to treat Mel to a mini break, an 8-day coach trip to the Scottish Highlands with shearings, costing £649 each.
I was, really looking forward to spending time with Dad.
Mel made the booking by phone and requested separate rooms, which added almost £150 each to the cost of the booking.
I thought we were paying the extra supplement because I was a sole person in a double room, so I had to make up the cost.
The first night in Newcastle went well, but when they moved on to the hotel in Scotland, where they were due to stay for the next 7 nights, they were met with a nasty surprise.
We arrived, got to our rooms and couldn't believe the size of it. It was a single bed in a tiny bedroom. We definitely did question why an extra £145.
Despite feeling like they were paying more for less, father and daughter decided not to let their disappointment ruin the holiday.
The driver was fantastic.
Derek,
So much knowledge. The scenery in Scotland was amazing.
But the steam train, I can remember them when I was a youngster. I really enjoyed it.
When they got home, Mel called Shearings to complain about the single rooms.
After a lot of communication each way, we thought we were paying for sole occupancy, but they insisted it was a single room and there would be no refund.
At the time, Shearings told us it was sorry that Mel was unhappy with the charges associated with her room type. The company said that it aims to provide concise information regarding its tours at the time of booking, with details confirmed in writing. As a gesture of goodwill, it has sent Mel a cheque for £50. Shearings added that its holidays are priced on the basis that 2 customers will be sharing 1 room, except for single rooms, and that it is committed to working closely with hoteliers to ensure that supplements for single travellers are reasonably priced. Another man sick of paying more to go solo is brass band member Chris Baxter from Lancashire.
Makes me feel at times unwanted. We don't want you because you're single. Come back when you're with somebody.
Chris's wife, Anne, died in 2016. They'd been together for over 33 years. Since then, he's noticed how different the costs and the standards of some solo holidays can be.
Some of these cabins and rooms that you end up with, even after paying a single supplement, some of these rooms, they're substandard compared with other rooms and cabins.
We asked him to compare 5 different holidays with big-name providers. 3 sea cruises, 1 river cruise, and a hotel package. He compared the cost for a single with that for a couple staying in the same standard of accommodation.
On 4 of these holidays that I checked, the single supplement worked out at 50% on top of the charge for an individual person.
But one of the firms went even further, saying he'd have to pay exactly the same price as a couple.
Feel that they don't want individual travellers on these holidays. They just want couples. Why should we be expected to pay extra every time? It's not our fault that we're single sometimes, especially when we've lost a loved one.
Now, I'm someone who's very happy to travel on my own as a solo traveller, and I think we know that an awful lot of you are as well. So with me now to find out more is Phil Salcedo, who's from the travel website Holiday Pirates, and Rob Staines is back as well. Well, Rob, I'm going to come to you first because since we heard from Des and Mel, Shearings, I gather, have made a total about turn.
Yes, they have. So in January of 2023, it announced that they had dropped single supplements at 27 of their hotels, and this was great news. However, when the Rip Off Britain team asked the company for more details, they said, unfortunately, the hotels acquired new owners and the arrangement was not renewed. So single supplements are very much back on the agenda at Shearings.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Because that really worked very well, didn't it? Now, Phil, your website actually compiles holiday offers from all over the industry. Shearings clearly wanted to get rid of the single supplement, but what about other companies?
I think it's a mixed picture. So many of them are already doing a better job. We do research every day to try and find the best deals available, increasingly for solo travellers, and many now offer savings or in some cases no supplement whatsoever. But I think as an industry there's still more to be done.
What sort of things are they offering at the moment?
So if you search on one of these travel sites for a trip and you specify that you're a solo traveller, then you'll get a price, and it's often more on a per person basis than if you're travelling for two. But increasingly they then offer a discount code of some kind. We saw some that offer £30 off your trip, others that offer £100 to £150 off. So you then get that discounted rate back. You still often pay more than you would if there were two of you, but it's less of a premium than it used to be.
Phil, clearly there is an increase in the number of people who want to travel on their own. Now, you've done your own research into this, haven't you? What did you find?
That's right, yes. So we've been looking at this for 12 years now, and we recently did a survey of over 1,000 of our users. Of those, 1 in 4 will be put off by these solo supplements. So the interest is there, but also the concern is there. 15% think that the industry could do more. Yeah. So I think it's time that the industry looked at that carefully.
Now, Rob, actually, this is not just a case of the cost of single travellers. It's that they seem to be getting a bum deal all round, don't they? Now, I know you travel, as I do, singly quite a lot. Does it feel you're not being appreciated, which is what our guy said in the film?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I personally think single supplements are unfair, and I think it could be argued that they are also discriminatory. You know, it seems like some hotels and accommodation providers are taking advantage of those who just, you know, want their own space, and sometimes it feels like it's being labelled as a choice and a privilege, when actually it's, you know, completely not the case. Accommodation is charged per room, not per person. Therefore, single supplements, I think, are not necessary.
What would you advise for people if they are single travellers to make sure that they get the best deal possible?
Yeah, well, it definitely pays to shop around, and there's now, luckily, lots of specialist companies out there that are offering really great itineraries with absolutely no single supplements at all. If you are travelling out of season, you might be able to try and haggle and ask for single supplements to be removed. As part of your research, to get really good tips and tricks, you can join online communities. There's lots of social media groups as well that give loads of information about how to, you know, do solo travel in the best way. And I think that's just a wonderful thing.
Well, let's hope that the industry are able to meet those needs. But thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're very nearly at the end of the programme, but before we go, there's just enough time to put some of your questions to Simon and Rob. And Simon, you're up first. Maura Pollock says her flight was delayed after a crew member was taken ill. She says airline staff told her she could book a hotel room and then claim back the cost, so she did. But when it came time to claim, the airline refused to pay. What can she do?
Well, she can get legal and go to Money Claim Online. If a flight is delayed overnight or indeed cancelled, for whatever reason, the airline is supposed to find you a hotel room. Sometimes they just say, we can't, you're on your own. So you buy the cheapest reasonable hotel you can and send them a bill. It's as simple as that.
This one for you, Rob. Kevin Wiseman says he had nearly £3,000 stolen from a rented villa while he was away. When he reported it to the police, he discovered that the theft is a regular occurrence at the property, something that was never made clear by the booking platform or the villa company. Both of them have refused any responsibility. Where does he stand?
Oh dear, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Now, this could actually be the first time that the company has heard about this, so it's really important to make a complaint using the formal process as set out on the company's website. Travel insurance might be able to help with the claim, but it's also really important that you get online and write an honest review so that other people are aware of this situation as well.
Simon, can we squeeze in some advice for Sandra Murphy, who says that she spent more than £6,000